A little known fact about Bob that I can think of is that he drove taxis to put himself through medical school.
From what I've heard, it has to be his knowledge and skills in making authentic apple strudel.
Bob does have a sweet tooth. The other thing that Bob's good at is a great cook.
Bob got in really big trouble one day when he set fire to the loading dock at the Garvin while he was smoking a cigar.
For 10 years or so, he was the director of the Rockestead.
He was a child model for knitwear, and I think I might be able to find a photo to prove it.
Look, Bob sends me a lot of funny emails and has always got some great one-liners.
I remember that he used to forward me these funny cartoons. I think they were in German.
Bob has this quirky, tendency to send funny clips or stories.
There's lots of funny moments with Bob, but for just his sense of humour, and we used to just play lots of jokes. He's fabulous.
Look, Bob is full of scientific wisdoms and jokes. I particularly like his dad jokes.
Bob had an office, on our floor on level 6, and in the evenings he would light up his cigar and have a few puffs inside, and the smell would spread.
It's that he very often will be talking about something quite serious, and then he'll turn his head to the side and say, but on the other hand, and say something really outrageous.
We believe the hospitality you showed us when we visited Australia, we will always remember that.
My favourite memory of Bob was I just stood up to deliver the eulogy at my mother's funeral, and I'd uttered the first words and I looked up and I could see Bob at the back of the chapel, and that just filled me with so much support, and I was so honoured that he was there.
What will stick with me forever was how he saved the life of a gardener downstairs. That for me is just Bob through and through. Yeah, he saved the life of this guy.
I've never thought of Bob as a candy, right?
Oh dear Lord.
If Bob was a chocolate bar.
I didn't think of a chocolate bar, but I think he'd resemble Smarties because he's just so smart.
He would be a box of Quality Street.
I've written down here, he's hard on the outside and soft on the inside.
I think he'd be in the hands of a very happy 5-year-old kid.
Organic dark chocolate with a hint of chili.
Probably a rich cherry and blackberry liqueur.
I don't think he's very sweet, but I think he looks like a koala, and I think there are a mixture of things about him.
He would be a kind bar. You have kind bars in Australia, and he would be a kind chocolate bar with extra nuts.
I think you'd have to be like some, crunchy nut thing.
I had a long time to think about this one. I think he's probably a Toyota Camry. He's not very stylish, but he's reliable and always gets the job done.
He'd be a Rolls, okay? Because that's the best. And he'd be a blue one. He'd be a dark blue Rolls.
A more senior car, but in great condition. I don't know, a 71 Trans Am or something like that.
The DeLorean. Ahead of its time.
I think he'd be more like a Range Rover, but maybe not requiring as much upkeep as a Range Rover does from what I understand.
He's got to be SpongeBob SquarePants.
What comes to mind is Superman.
Curious George, because he's always thinking of something new to do.
Bob loves to fix things, so he'd be Bob the Builder, I think.
Mufasa from Lion King. Bob clearly understands the importance of balance and respect of others.
I think I'd go for the Roadrunner. Beep beep, and off he runs. Smart, fast, and always ahead of the game.
I think he'd be Popeye. I'm not quite sure why, but it just sounds good.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt, smart. Second would have to be curious. And the third would be incredibly thoughtful.
Bob in 3 words.
Mentor, leader, and a champion.
Generous, caring, and appreciative.
World-class scientist and a bloody good guy.
Loyal, respectful, great credibility.
Humble, brilliant, and thirdly, I would say that he's a leader.
I'd have to say it's the breadth of his knowledge. It really is a walking encyclopedia.
He has this intellect and very broad general knowledge which he combines with his feisty approach, and it leads to extraordinarily interesting and amusing general conversations.
One thing that is a recurring theme with Bob is setting the bar high.
He had a gift of insight that you don't see a lot of people with.
What's unique about Bob? He's a leader, he's a humanist, he's a world-class clinician and a world-class scientist.
He's a person. He's not just a scientist, but he's a gentleman. He's a great communicator, and he gives of his time.
You have done wonders with the Institute. You have made it from the beginning to the top echelon of all institutes around the world.
In terms of his greatest achievements, I don't think there's any question that Bob's legacy will be the stability and ongoing success of the Victor Chang Cardiac Research Institute.
Apart from his research, I would say that it would be the development of the Victor Chang.
I think the fact that he's able to have achieved so much with the Institute.
The Chang has to be the one.
I think it's really about creating that culture of, it's like a family. Everybody does knuckle down and work together.
Has to be the legacy that he'll leave in this institute.
I think his greatest achievement, he would probably say his children and his grandchildren, but his greatest achievement is undoubtedly the Institute.
Really, I think it is the Victor Chang, which would not exist without him.
Bob's greatest achievement, I think, without doubt, is his creation and leadership of the Victor Chang Cardiac Research Institute over 25 years. I think he's been able to create something much, much larger and leave a legacy of really, truly great impact.
You built it from human Siri, basically, to this, 11-story freestanding building. It's remarkable.
I think Bob's greatest achievement is what he did with the Victor Chang Institute, making this internationally renowned.
Over the last 25 years, I don't think there's any other Australian who's done more for heart disease than Professor Bob Graham.
He's really, I think, doubled the amount of research that's done on cardiac disease in this country and giving a real focus for it.
More than anyone else. He's created an institute, he's created an environment in which people can thrive and achieve so much.
What Bob has done is that he put heart research in Australia, not just at the Victor Chang, but in Australia at the forefront.
I think it's impossible to measure Bob's impact on heart research in Australia. 25 years, starting and leading one of our greatest institutes.
I'm hoping that Bob is in a lab at the Institute making his next, 25th or 50th discovery.
Getting old. So there's a lot of not good possibilities here.
So not retired?
No. In the words of Mr. Frank Lowy, he's only just over 70. He's got a good 20 years in him yet.
I imagine Bob will still be in his lab. That's what I would imagine. And he's probably happiest there.
He was telling me that I can't wait to go up to, level 4, have an office there and just focus on the science. Personally, there are miles to go on his bike. Maybe he'll spend more time riding his bike now.
Congratulations, Bob, on a fantastic career and all that you've achieved for the Victor Chang Cardiac Research Institute. It's been an absolute delight working with you and knowing you for over 20 years. I look forward to catching up soon.
Well, just a big...
I think Bob knows how much gratitude not just me, my family has for him.
Just a big thank you to you, Bob, for someone who has given everything to work. I really mean everything. Would have to be pretty difficult.
I'm proud to have you as my friend, and I want to wish you all the very best in your retirement.
Well, yeah, you know, he's been a good friend, he's been a good scientific friend, you know, so.
You've been an extremely influential person in my life and my family's, like I said, and so we are super grateful.
What I would like to say to Bob is how grateful I am for knowing him.
So much to thank him for. So it's quite it'll be an emotional night.
I'd like to thank Bob for all the enormous effort that he's put into building up the Research Institute, and I'd actually like to welcome him back in the lab because I'm looking forward to spending real quality time with him.
You can only say so many words, but how do you thank someone for that?